Hey everyone, welcome back to Love and Golf, a podcast about our romantic, passionate, and sometimes twisted love affair with the game and the valuable lessons it's given us. And of course, what we give back to it, because that's the intent. We're cruising through these episodes here, and I, for one, am learning a lot, like a lot. These stories are fascinating, and I actually just shared one. I share them all, but I shared one, and one of my friends, I got a DM from him and says, "Hey, if you ever want to hack like me on to share my story, let me know." I have a feeling he's on right now. But before we get to him, our relationships with golf mean something different to all of us. Some of us crave it like chocolate cake. Some of us have this hot, cold, on, off, start, stop flow with it. But no matter what the relationship, it's undeniable that golf gives us a gift in return. My next guest is no exception to the rule. Andrew Marler, former D1 golfer and current scratch player, would tell you he doesn't love golf like many of us do, but he certainly respects it and wants to spread golf's magic. Before Andrew teamed up with his wife and brother, yes, wife and brother, to build their multi-million dollar company, Robin Golf, he went to work for a small startup company, Facebook. That's a joke, guys. Andrew cut his teeth learning sales and business with that corporate giant and was able to establish skills and an understanding of how to reach a customer base that would help serve him in his current venture. In 2018, Andrew, Ali, Peter saw a huge void in the golf marketplace. I will save that story and let him tell you it because it's a good one. But fast forward 4 years, the three of them co-founded Robin Golf, one of the fastest growing companies in the golf space that helped golf become more inclusive for new players. Now, I really want to get into this story and tackle, how they took an idea, like the kernel of an idea, and grew it into this behemoth, and what it's like to start a company with family. And then from there, what it means to him, like how they helped grow this game and make it more accessible to all. There's a lot to cover here, like a lot to cover. So I'm going to jump right in and hope you guys enjoy this. But without further ado, my man, Andrew, my buddy, welcome to Love and Golf.
MZ, thanks for having me, man.
Dude, you just said
It's a
this like
pleasure.
this is your first podcast you've done?
Yeah, I think you were like my first friend in the golf industry when I went to the PGA show in 2020 with like complete blind optimism, had no idea what I was doing, didn't know anybody. I think we
Yeah.
got introduced and we just hung out all day, like roaming the floor, going to the bars, acting like we were bigwigs when we both had absolutely no idea and no place being there. Really fond memories, and I know we've stayed close over the years. I've enjoyed watching you grow, Molly, and it's an honor for me
Thank
to be
you.
featured on your podcast today.
Well, bro, it's an honor to have you, and I like that you reached out because I'll be honest that you guys have been growing so fast. And I've followed Robin, and obviously you're a buddy, and I just assumed you were too big for us right now. Like I'll be honest, man. You. I know I read because I read an article you got. I don't want to jump the gun here, but I know you're in PJ Superstore, you're in Dick's Sporting Goods now. Like Robin is growing like a weed and quickly. And then I saw you guys raised a good amount of money, venture capital. So it's like I'm like I can't talk to Andrew. Andrew's way too big time for me.
No, I think watching what you do and like your passion for the game and like the golf industry is something that we've never really done a good job of connecting with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I feel much smaller than I actually am. We've been so laser focused like on our product and serving our customer, which is the new and casual golfer, that
Yeah.
often we forget about the avid and like passionate and skilled golfer ecosystem that like is exists and is beautiful, and like that's really where you play. And so
Yeah.
when I see your
Well, it's
stuff,
not your
I almost
market,
feel
right?
like it's not our market, but I almost like feel like I'm not deserving of your time actually. We're serving a totally different audience over here, but since we were friends, I felt like I had the confidence to reach out to you. And so but yeah, thank you for the kind words. The business is going absolutely great. We've definitely found something here and are serving a market, and people are really excited about our product, and our messaging and the feeling of comfort and inclusivity. So we're excited to see where it goes.
Well, I wanna get into that story because I feel like there's a lot of I'm assuming this guys like a lot of you guys listening are wanting some business lessons or like some advice or some tips because the love stories we have with golf, they're only good to share if it helps us or inspires us in a way. So that's my hope. So I want to get into that, bro. But first I want to, there's like a common thread in all this. And I know you play D1 golf. You like, can you just for what is the word, unanimity? For fuck it, guys, I don't know what I'm saying right now. Just to have a common blanket throughout all these episodes, a thread. How did you find golf? How did it find you? What does it mean to you right now, and how you found it? Just because I want that backstory.
Sure. I found golf through loneliness when I was 12 years old. My family, I was a big ice hockey player growing up, and I was living in Ithaca, New York, and we had moved to Albany because my mom was a professor and moved to SUNY Albany, and we moved to a little par three neighborhood course one summer when I was in sixth grade. I had no friends. I had nothing to do for the summer, so I got a clinky old set, went to the par three course, started to try to test my ice hockey slap shot onto a par three, which I remember is 90 yards. And the club I pulled out was a 6 iron. And it took me weeks to hit the green. And just shows now like that it's just a funny thought. But that's how I found golf. And from there, I just became obsessed with getting better, continued to evolve my game, led me to a full scholarship to Binghamton University in Division 1. Then I gave up golf for about 7 to 8 years, moved to New York City, worked at a startup called Facebook. And golf was just
You can't
never
steal my line, dude. You can't steal my line. That's my fucking line.
it was a startup at the time though. So it is true. But just kind of gave it up. And then we moved to LA in 2017. And it was a sort of a passion area that I wanted to pick back up. Um, I never in a million years envisioned starting a golf company. It was never anything I wanted to do. And it just sort of I just stumbled upon this problem that the golf industry faced, or a lot of consumers faced, and myself, my wife, my brother became more obsessed with the actual problem and solving the problem that just happened to be in the sport of golf versus
Mm-hmm.
wanting to start a company because we loved
Mm-hmm.
golf or because I loved golf.
Yeah.
So that's a through line. Golf has been extremely rewarding, from the friends I've made, the network I've built, the confidence I have with meeting people, and just being at the course and the etiquette that you build through the sport. And then now it's given me this gift of business with my family. We've never been closer. I've learned a tremendous amount about business through Robin Golf. So yeah, there's just I could take that question in a million different directions.
So let's go, guys. If you're listening, sorry, this is probably going to be a tangent one because Andrew and I are on a unique wavelength as buddies, but we'll try and keep it honed in. Let's back up. So thank you for showing how your relationship with golf got started. We're referencing a name, Robin Golf, that maybe not a lot of people know because, like you said, Robin Golf really isn't intended for those enthusiasts. And like I would say, like diehard golfers that are currently playing. It's really you've created the bridge. Like Robin Golf is the bridge from like an everyday human athlete person, human being who has an interest to play golf. Someone who's like, hey, I see this on TV, or I see Top Golf, or I went to Top Golf and I like golf. I like it. How do I get into it? You literally, quite literally, created the bridge from that world into this addiction that we call love and golf. So talk a little bit about that, because again, we'll be all over the place, but I know the story because your wife and your brother went to go, like they were like, hey, we want to start playing, and like you said, just go to Roger Dunn or go get fit or something, and they're like, huh, like blinders, like what? So take us through that story. Let's start the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, people that are listening to this podcast or that are avid about golf probably actually did not see this problem, because for me, I never saw it as well. Like if I asked you, Mike, as a new golfer, where should I go buy golf clubs? I want to play tomorrow. Where should I go buy golf clubs? You would definitely pause. You would not have like an immediate solution to that question. And
Mm-hmm.
that is really what happened to me when moved to LA. I got into a golf club here. Both my brother and wife were like, fun, let's go get drunk and all go play golf together. Where should I go buy golf
Yeah.
clubs?
Yeah.
And this is back in 2017, 2018. I said, I don't know, Googled Golf Store LA, Roger Dunn, the only one that exists basically here. I
on
didn't go
Bundy.
with them. Yeah, on Bundy. Yeah, I think there's 2. I think they have another location now. But or maybe they always did, but for
Fun
me, this is
fact,
all
I
we knew
actually,
was on Bundy.
not to interrupt you, but I actually grew up in that one right there. Like the hours that I've logged in those bays, at Roger Dunn on Bundy. Oh my gosh, on off the corner of Olympic and Bundy. Oh man, like
Yeah.
wow.
And
Sorry, keep
and
going.
that's exactly it. I walk in, I'm like, "What is this mecca of golf, this heaven?" Same thing you grew up there. I sent my wife in there and she goes, "What is this windowless Kmart shithole that's got clubs hanging from the ceiling and no organization to it, like, whatsoever?" It's like dark and there's like fluorescent lighting from the ceiling, and
Yeah.
she's used to like shopping on Abbot Kinney or
Oh my god, I'm
whatever.
dying right now. Yeah, it's so funny.
So my brother, so they walk into there together, completely just lost in the experience. My wife, Allie, says, where are the women's clubs? She's sort of sent to the back corner of the store, like behind maybe like the shoes. And there's 2 options, like a pink set and a purple set with
Right.
some like
Yeah.
patronizing name called like the Callaway Lady Power or something. And if you know my wife, she's strong headed from New Jersey, and she's like, I'm not playing with a pink set of golf clubs with these weird names. And then my brother's, asked to talk to the sales rep, who's probably wearing like pleated khakis, and says, where, I need a full set of golf clubs. I'm sort of new to the sport, which I do. And they're like, okay, come on over into the simulator, into the hitting bays. Let's see what you got. He's obviously humiliated, doesn't have a good swing. He's trying to hit it. He's like probably shanking it left and right. Ultimately they start piecing together this like the newest Callaway Rogue driver, through it, hybrid, bag, irons, putter, all said and done. It's like $3,500. And he was like, absolutely not. So they
Yeah.
both storm out of the store. They say, isn't there like online option? This whole in-store experience was just terrible for us. And I'm like, I guess you could go to
What year was
eBay. They
this
type,
again? What year was this again? This is what
this is
year?
in 2018.
So you're having like at the same time, like there's like the direct to consumer model is just peaking right now. Like direct to consumer sunglasses, eyewear, a Warby Parker esque. Like everyone's like the Warby Parker of this. Where like it is like you can get everything you want, multivitamins, everything straight mailed to you because of this world. So that's the mindset everyone's in at this point.
Yeah, in 2018, the expectation was if you wanted to buy a consumer packaged good, whether it's a razor, a mattress, a suitcase, or some sort of, you know, ointment,
Yeah,
you could get it direct to consumer with these brands that have really cool visuals. They treat the customer as like customer first, free shipping, free returns. And funnily enough, we had my wife I met at Facebook. My brother started in Facebook, one of the first couple hundred employees. We were building these companies at Facebook. And so we this was our expectation of any brand that was now selling a product, was you need to create this beautiful e-commerce experience, obsessed with the customer, create a quality product at an affordable price. And so they stormed out of the store saying, hey, what's the Warby Parker of golf, assuming the D2C sort of ecosystem had been applied to the sport. And we stopped and realized, like, wow, that I was like, that actually doesn't exist. And that's a really good idea. So then we started to do some research to sort of validate this idea. We started to read through the 10K reports of Acushnet and Callaway, and we were reading through there that their entire target was skilled, avid, biased golfers. Like that is their entire strategy, was to market towards these avid, skilled, biased golfers, which happen to be
hmm
affluent white men. Here is like my wife and here's my gay brother who are not in that audience. And
yeah,
they're like, I've never seen an ad for a golf company before. I've never like even been targeted or approached. So we were like, this is really exciting. We could build a brand for this demographic, which also happens to be at the
yeah,
time and still is the fastest growing demographics in golf, right? Women, people of color, millennials. And then
for
from
sure.
there,
Yeah,
we wanted to validate that this was also a real issue. So we conducted a survey about sort of golf club purchasing and sent it to 500 people. We ran some ads on Facebook with ad credit that we had with SurveyMonkey, and we found that 9 out of 10 people were dissatisfied with the golf club purchasing process, whether it's too expensive,
wow.
they didn't know the difference between this year's driver and last year's driver, they didn't want to have to go spend $500 at a retail store to get fit, to then also have to wait 3 months to get their clubs built, couldn't return them if they wanted to try them. So we found out that basically a lot of people were just like unhappy with the ecosystem. And so from there, we said that we might really be onto something. And so, what did you do back in 2018 when you wanted to start a company? You launch a
Go,
Kickstarter. And
yeah.
so that is what we did. And that is really, where we got started with the idea.
If anyone out there can find the Kickstarter video for Robin Golf, can you please send it to us? Because send it to Mully Golf, send it to Levin Golf, send it to me, Michael Zara. I don't care. I need to see this video that's referenced somewhere because apparently it's just legendary.
The Kickstarter video?
Yeah, I need it.
Yeah, you just
You have to
scroll it
have
up.
it.
Yeah, so we had no idea what we were doing. So, and I didn't know anybody in the video space. So we actually hired our wedding videographer to come shoot the video for us. We snuck on to Angeles National. We got four of us, myself, my brother, Allie, two friends, and our wedding videographer played like 3 holes, like fake played 3 holes, and then basically got out there and started started playing with the clubs. And then obviously we had some studio, like why we started and our experience. It was quite a kick, but we did about 40,000 in revenue in the think like the 2-3 weeks that we launched the Kickstarter. Um and realized, there's a need for this. Like people are really wanting this, and that is what gave us the confidence to then go raise money and really refine the product, the brand, et cetera, and brought us to launch in March of 2020.
So I can't imagine how hard it was for two people who didn't play golf to walk into a Roger Dunn and be like, what is this colossal shitstorm that I'm in right now? For them to walk out, understand, okay, there's got to be a better way, only to find there wasn't a better way. And then to turn to you and be like, hey, uh, should we do something about this? And what's like, is that when the light bulb was that the kernel of the moment that then spawned the Kickstarter, spawned like it was it like a was it an easy process once the initial idea from that light bulb moment, ding, let's go. Like take us now, because what I want to get into, my friend, and hopefully this is the teaching moments of like how hard it is to take an idea and put into the execution. Like I get that you guys did the online survey and it validated it, right? Like that's one thing. We can validate a lot of things. I can validate a lot of things. But like once it's validated, then what do you do? Like how hard is it to take that idea and start? By the way, and I will say this because I've done a lot of building of businesses. I'm an entrepreneur in my sleep. I love ideas. I love creation. I like the challenge. I like the chase. But I have only really done it in the tech world. I really never had to take on inventory, find manufacturers. Like I can't imagine when you guys have this idea and then it's validated to look at this colossal hill in front of you. Be like, okay, we're going to get into this $1 billion industry. We're going to really fuck some shit up. We're going to upset a lot of people, and we're going to go out and find and do it all. Like what in the actual
Yeah, this is where blind optimism is like the biggest tool in anybody's tool set. When we stumbled upon this idea, this problem, and Away was just valued at like $2 billion, and Casper Mattresses was about to go public, we were literally thinking, we just fell into the next multi-billion-dollar idea. Let's just build this up in 2-3 years, and we'll take it public or we'll sell it and just Callaway for a couple 100 million, and we're all good. Like that was literally our mindset. We were so jazzed. And yes, looking back on it now, I like can't believe we were that idiotic. I mean, we're happily like doing well now, but there was a ton that went into it, and I think we were blinded by like listening to How I Built This podcast or any of these founding podcasts that were so popular in 2016 and 2017. They make it seem so easy, right? If you listen to like the guys from Warby or Stitch Fix or Casper, they're like, oh yeah, we thought that sunglasses were too expensive. So we're like, we should just sell sunglasses for $95 on the internet, and waha, we're instant billionaires. And that was literally our mindset, was just like, nobody is doing this. Golf is 99% retail. It's very expensive. They're ignoring this huge demographic. There's no online options. We have the playbook. Who better to do this than us? And we just literally felt like we could go do it. Um, the process certainly has taken a lot longer and a huge amount of trial and error, but the the blind optimism was amazing. I think having our co-founders doing it with my brother and my wife enabled us to keep going even when we felt like it wasn't going to go anywhere. I recall after the successful Kickstarter that we did in April, then we raised about 400,000 from friends and family. We cold called the ex head of R&D from Bridgestone Golf because he was quoted in a Golf Digest article. Paid $6.99 to get his phone number from Yellow Pages. Cold called him, pitched him our idea, and he was like, "This is a great idea." Because before that, I was LinkedIn messaging people from Callaway, TaylorMade titles. I was like, "How do I build a golf club?" I had no idea how to build our own because we wanted to be vertically integrated. And so we had this idea. We knew there was a market. We knew how to like advertise and build the brand, but we actually didn't know how to build the product. So here I was just like cold calling people, LinkedIn messaging everybody in the golf industry. They're all laughing me out of the room, not replying. And yeah, it was this one guy, John, from this Golf Digest article that we basically just found his number and cold called him. And he happened to be in a position to help us. And he had all the relationships with the factories. And that's when we really kind of started to get going. But yeah, it was like March of 2020, and we had blown through our 400,000. We hired a fancy creative agency. We ordered all this inventory. You know, the terms that you have when you're a new brand, the terms of the factory are awful. You know, you're 30% down, 70% remaining to ship the product. So here you are, you're out the door with all of your cash to get the inventory
Mm-hmm.
over here. We're here having to prove ourselves to the factory that like we're a legitimate brand, take a bet on us. And come March 2020, we actually all met at Takaya on Sunset because it was around March of 2020, and we had burned all of our cash. We had about 100,000 in credit card debt on our personal credit cards, and we were all devising a plan on how we were going to split the debt up amongst each other. Just like, we gave it our
Wow.
best shot, and how are we going to support each other to just pay off these loans? And then we ended up launching March, and obviously the world fell apart. And we were like, well, at least it wasn't all our fault. Like, this is just everything's about timing and starting a business.
Yeah.
And golf courses quickly became like the only thing that was open. Of course, the story. Golf just absolutely took off in the pandemic, being socially distanced approved sport. We
Yeah.
were there with inventory. We had the website, and we just flew off the shelves. I mean, we did couple 100,000 in revenue overnight, basically. And we were so excited that we were selling our product that we actually forgot to place the order for more. So we were then out of stock for like 6 months after that. And so, yeah, the inventory management has been a huge learning curve.
So in a way, I don't ever want to say that COVID was a godsend because that's just really fucked up. But in a way, it was a I don't know, it's not even silver lining. It was a I don't even know the words to use. My friend is like Andrew was it
No,
was
it was a benefit of timing.
benefit of
One of my
timing. There you go.
mentors,
That's a great way to say it. Yeah.
one of my mentors basically said, you could build the best sailboat in the world with the best materials. It could be the lightest, the fastest, sexiest, most expensive sailboat ever. If you don't have any wind, it's not going to go anywhere. And
Yeah.
so, I think at the time it was interesting that because of our blind optimism, none of us were from the golf ecosystem, none of us were from the golf space. To
Hmm.
build a package set business focused on beginner golfers, which did not exist. Like the Callaway Strata was there, but it is like the forgotten stepchild of Callaway, right? Like nobody was investing in this group. For us to have done that in 2019, and by the way, when we were building this, we were talking to people like the ex CEO of Cleveland tried to build a D2C golf company, and it completely failed. And they told us that we would be failures. And everybody along the way was telling us we'd be failures because if you worked in the golf industry in 2019, you'd be like, this is not going to work. And we
But
were
but
just
at that time,
ignorant.
but at that
We kept
time
going.
though, at that time, like golf wasn't it just wasn't what it is now. I can see. I'm not trying to say that it wasn't a good idea, but nobody like in a way COVID and the growth of golf and what it's been through because you and I both played pre-pandemic. We played pre-boom. We played. I mean, I grew up playing in the Tiger era, so I'm sure same with you, right? And the khaki pants and the baggy polos and all that shit, like that was golf for the longest time. Like even through like the turn of the century, the early 2000s, like it wasn't cool, and then like 2010 it wasn't cool. Like so for them to say like this idea is not going to work, in a way, I understand what they were trying to say, which is you're going after the new golfer, but there is no new golfer. There's no like, there's like, you're gonna use hand me downs. Like the demand for new golf wasn't there, so it's almost like
Right.
what the pandemic did and what Top Golf has done. I give Top Golf credit, 5 Iron Golf credit, Drive Shack, all these locations that just get clubs in people's hands. They're the real heroes in this whole thing because they're I call it the infection point when you meet the muse, when you meet golf for the first time. Like I'm not putt putt, no offense, putt putt, that's not real golf. But when you swing a club and you make contact and there's like this like that, like whoa, this is fucking cool. Like that, there's those moments, man. Like and like ever since the rise of those locations through and like the pandemic and all that, right? But like there's been more infection points, like more, and that's where like Robin comes in, like and because not everybody, you don't know at that point when you get the bug, guys, like you don't know if that bug is going to last a month, a year, 20 or not, so it's like, why are you going to Ali and Peter's point, like why are you going to go spend $3,000, dump that money, which a lot of people can't do, for the record, on a sport, on a hobby you don't know you're going to like. So I mean, Robin, the idea, from looking back now after everything, great idea, because you're eliminating a huge barrier. You're minimizing the barrier. There's still a barrier, right? You got to pay for it, not free clubs, but like you're creating a much more accessible entry point for people that want to play. And I don't know if we said this on the podcast yet. It's not like a full 14 club set, right? You get a couple woods, a couple irons, wedges and a putter, right? So tell people about that. Like how'd you come up with the makeup? Why didn't you go full 14? Like how did you figure that out?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it really came down to our surveying, and again building this company through the beginner eyes of my brother and Peter and Allie. And when we were talking to them and we're doing a lot of our research, we found that beginner golfers usually only use like the same 5 to 6 clubs in their bag, right? Like you talk to any Joe Schmo or female golfer that's just
Yeah.
looking to have
Yeah.
a good time. It's like, oh, I tee off with my driver and then I use my hybrid like kind of on my second shot. I love my 7 iron. 7 iron's like my favorite club. I'll use that in the rough or in the fairway. Then usually a pitching wedge or sand wedge around the greens. Then I use a putter, right? That is like the majority of golfers that are at least over sort of a 15 or 20 handicap. So here we are wondering, why does everybody have to have 14 clubs? I mean, it really makes no sense. And so that's where we really came up with the idea of selling a 9 club set, the 9 most used clubs in the bag, to basically simplify the choice of the clubs that you're going to use. It lowers the cost, it lowers the weight. We could build a sleeker, smaller bag and make the price point more accessible. So by doing the 9 club
Mm-hmm.
set, it was fairly innovative, at the time. And then also, one of the other things that we did that's different from many other golf companies is we only sell package set clubs. And we're very intentional about that. Right now, if you want to buy from any brand, you have to piece together your set. Like drivers are sold separately from hybrids and irons and wedges. So, and you buy your bag separately and you buy your gloves separately, etc. And we are very intentional about how can we make this as easy and as frictionless as possible for the beginner golfer, right? Making sure that they come to the website and in 2 clicks, they can check out and be done with it in
Mm-hmm.
30 seconds. Not this,
Mm-hmm.
what shaft do you want? What flex do you want? Oh, I need to add a driver to my cart. Okay, now I need to go to
Yeah.
the 3 wood and then I need to like add the 3 wood to my cart. It could take you an hour online to basically put together a golf set. And so we were very intentional about the 9 club set. We want to make it all matte black because Allie really wanted a black set. We only sold package set with the bag and head covers because we wanted that beginner golfer to feel like come to robingolf.com. I could get everything that I need at an accessible price point where it's going to be high quality, high performing, stylish, shipped to my door in 2 days. And at the time, we were also the first equipment company to do free returns, whether you play with the clubs or not. So in the industry, if you take the plastic off the wedge from Roger Dunn or anywhere, the club is yours. You can maybe bring it back to Roger Dunn and get a credit, but you have to still buy there. we were doing free returns to enable and make those beginners feel more comfortable. Because to your point with the Top Golf, they didn't know if this was going to be a week fad or 30-day fad or a year long commitment. And so we really wanted to lower that barrier of entry also, which existed in the traditional, retail golf space.
So I don't want to take the wind out of the sail, to use that analogy again. I want to continue to talk about Robin, but I want to ask you some hard questions that maybe you weren't prepared for. But for the for the sake of making this valuable and educational for all, I'm curious to know, man. Like, and please don't plead the fifth. You can, but don't. Uh, How was this idea? How much of this of Robin, and from your wife's standpoint and your brother's standpoint, like how much of this was, wow, here's $1 billion idea no one's done? Was there any like I want to really grow the game and it's good because you grew up with golf? I know you don't have the love passion for it like some people do. I know you respect it. We talked about that offline. But like how much of this
Mhm.
was like, was there a want at all to grow golf for the holistic nature and good that it does in the world, or was that an afterthought? Because you have done it whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it's 100% been like core to what we do. We all three of us co-founders vary differently on like what we think that we are solving in the space. For one, is my wife Allie was the firm driver on driving diversity and inclusion. I mean, she walked into that store and she's a tall person. She felt small. When she walks into my country club, she feels tiny. Same thing with my brother.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so they are extremely passionate about how can we make people feel confident and sexy and cool when you walk to the course with a set of golf clubs. I mean, it's the same way that if you walk into a boardroom in corporate America, if you dress the part, you feel better, right? Like look
Hmm.
good, feel
Yep.
good is a kind of a common phrase. And so that was really, really important. Allie's driving a lot of our female inclusion in the sport. And what's really awesome is that 50% of our customers are women. So from the get go, we wanted
Would you say
to
15?
bring in 50
50,
of our
50.
customers are women. 50.
Wow.
Compare that to
Wow.
any of the major OEMs or any of our competitors. They have a 5%, maybe 10% female customer base. So
Wow.
we really over index in that group. And then also, one of the things that we've been really passionate about is making people feel seen and recognized. If you look at a lot of our material, we include lots of different ethnicities, lots of different age ranges, people of color. And we really wanted people to feel like, hey, this is a sport that I can play. Robin is a brand that's going to help me do it. And we were very intentional about the people that we partner with, about the way that we show up, about our branding, about our copy to just feel inclusive of all people.
Yeah.
Wasn't really one group, just everybody. And we felt there was like a huge opportunity to change the sport in that respect as well. So we were super passionate about it. It wasn't it wasn't necessarily like let's grow the game, like let's get more rounds played. Like, it wasn't from like a USGA or PGA like golf lingo perspective. It was
Hmm.
just here's an industry that hasn't moved forward. It hasn't moved forward to recognize sort of the changing landscape of our culture, which is and should be inclusive of all people, no matter your race, your age, your color, your sexuality, etc. And there was
Yeah.
no brand in the golf space that was doing it, and we felt that we saw it, we experienced it, and we felt passionate about building it. And so that's been
Yeah.
probably the most important thing to our mission. And Robin is driving that diversity into the sport.
And you've done that, and I got to applaud you for that. Just an observation, because this seems to like come up a lot where golf is just so far behind. It's got so far to go to catch up, and like I'm grateful there are companies like mine, Mully, and yours, Robin, it's like who are looking at in other industries and seeing so many fast emerging technological trends or consumer behaviors that we're adopting for golf to help it catch up. Because if not for us, like it is significantly behind. And I think I had Cole, a good buddy at Metalwood, founder of Metalwood. He was even like, like he could see trends in fashion, and like golf's so far behind in fashion world. Like it's almost like a cheat sheet. If you can see what's happening in what's successful in other industries and verticals, you can adopt it for golf. It's just, it's almost, like I said, a cheat sheet, but that's not the point of this episode. I have a few questions because you touched upon it. Curious to know, because I want to talk to you about the relationship you have with your wife and your brother as business partners, because I think that's an interesting dynamic to make that choice. There are probably pros and cons. Before we go into that, though, did did they get that? Did they get the bug at all, or do they look at golf now as just a business venture and they don't really play? Like, what? Just speak on that for a sec.
Yeah, I would say, it's more at this point, it's more of a business than, than we're not out on the golf course, like, every week. We try to do it, once a quarter, the three of us will go do it, usually around product testing is
Hmm.
what brings us actual together. I would say Allie really need both Allie and my brother need drinks in their hands when they're playing. That is a prerequisite, needs to have alcohol included, uh, needs a golf cart. I think they're also both still, um, don't want to be like on a Saturday morning when everybody's looking. So we'll find some time on like a Sunday afternoon where the three of us will go out and have some drinks and sort of catch up about the business and test some product. But um,
That's
the
fair.
bug definitely way more than they had in 2018 than they are today. But it's not a daily golf thing for the office. Like we're behind the computer. We're working Monday through Friday. We're not playing golf like on Tuesday at 9 o'clock. That's for sure.
I asked that because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that have experienced golf that may have some ideas on how to improve the economic landscape of it, or have a business idea or a venture they want to start. Like, you don't necessarily need to eat, breathe, love it like I do, right? I know I have since I was a kid, but you don't need to have that to start something or to positively impact this community. So that's kind of why I asked that question.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, golf, while it's a beautiful, passionate hobby for many people, it's also a huge business. I mean, it's an $84 billion industry. The equipment alone is 9 billion. There's still a huge amount of white space, as we discussed with Molly. You're doing it in the marketplace. You found white space. Cole has found white space in sort of vintage nostalgia golf moments. We found white space in the package sets, and Malbin has found white space in style. I mean, there's still, to your point, a tremendous amount of growth that can be had in this sport, because there's really only four major OEMs that control 90% of the market share. And, you know, to me, that screams opportunity. It screams challenger
Hmm.
brands. It screams change and evolution. And so I would definitely say on this podcast, like, you don't need to love and be like obsessed with golf. It, by the way, also starting a golf business is not going to allow you to play golf every day. I will like, I promise that it's
Fact.
not like an excuse to play more golf. But I think there are a lot of opportunities, and if you can align a passion with what you're doing,
Yeah.
win-win.
Yeah. 100%. So on that note, let's continue the evolution of this mystery, because for those who don't know, I started Mully, my business, with my cousin, family member, one of my best friends on this fucking planet. Like, excuse my language, but like, I have to use that word just to emphasize like how close we are. Like, as human beings, we've grown up playing golf together, uh, annual golf trips, see him all the time, and for some reason, everyone was like, don't do business with family. And I was like, I can see that. I can see how that may get sticky. But when you have so much transparency, like Steve and I do, where we have had some of the most difficult conversations about life, I was like, he gets me, he gets golf, he gets what we want to do. I have to partner with him. And we have complementary skill sets. So it just fit. Is it difficult? I think any business partnership is difficult because there's a balancing act, just like any relationship. So yes, I'm not going to say it's not difficult, but it makes the difficulty easier, at least for us. So I'm curious to know, because I think this is a very valuable learning lesson for anyone out there who is wanting to start a company. I've done it solo as a sole proprietorship and just myself, and I've done it with partners. And depending on the venture and depending on the mission at hand, I have to admit, like, having a partner that doesn't like have your same one-to-one skill set, that definitely complements you, is such a godsend, because that takes a lot of the stress off, takes a lot of the um, the pressure off. There's a reciprocation. I'd imagine it being raised by a single mother, how hard it was, seeing how hard it was for her to do that. I imagine it has to be like just having a parent there to help co-parent a child is just easier. So I'm gonna shut up and just let you talk.
You touch on a lot of great points. Starting a business with a family definitely comes with its challenges, and I'm happy to share a couple. The one benefit to starting a business with a family is you can't get rid of your family, right? I mean, you could have the biggest disagreement ever, but at the end of the day, you need to solve that challenge, and you need to talk about it because you can't break up with your wife or your brother. I mean, at the end of the day, family is what's most important. And even on the hardest days with Robin Golf, like we all know, like, look, if this set of clubs doesn't get to this customer on time, we still have each other. Like it's not the end of the world if like we can't get our shipping container out of the port into our customers because look, we have the love and support of each other. But of course, it comes with some challenges. And for those that are out there looking for some advice, one of the best things that we did is very early on, we hired a co-founder coach. We hired a therapist that worked with us. I think it was weekly in the beginning, moved to bi-weekly, and then moved to monthly as we grew. But you're not used to having a working relationship with your family typically. And so having a therapist enabled us to share what our working styles are, what are hours of the day that we are operating best and is most important to us. What are ways that motivate you and what are ways that incentivize you? You know, to some it's hard feedback. Others need a cheerleader. Others want monetary, recognition. Others just want acknowledgement of their hard work. And everybody sort of operates differently, and so enabling us to have a co-founder coach early on in our relationship enabled us to sort of thrive because there were moments where, I mean, I would go a month without talking to my brother, like in the beginning, and it was so stressful. And I think that the biggest challenge really at the end of the day working with family is that you kind of always yearn for like that feeling of what our relationship was like before business. Because no matter what now, if I see my brother on
Yeah.
a Sunday and he comes to visit his niece, Robin comes up. I mean, you just can't escape it. You cannot escape a single interaction without talking about an email or a project or an initiative or a question. And
Yeah.
so you have to be prepared that your relationship will change. It'll get great and it'll improve more so than you ever can. And but it's going to change, it's going to be different. And so that is definitely one thing that I would flag to anybody that is considering it.
Yeah. To touch on that, you mentioned a lot of good points in return. It's interesting because I was thinking to myself, like, you don't really, when you have a co founder, you pretty much, whether it's family or not, it might be a friend, it might be a friend of a friend, but you're going to know them. You're not going to just like, search the web. Hey, I want co-founder needed. I mean, I guess it's possible, but you really want to know, like, and trust someone before you bring them into a fold like that. So everything you're saying is applicable to just even like close friend or even just close acquaintance, because those boundaries, I call them boundaries, and Steve and I have them. And by the way, guys, like to your point too, bro, like I had to enforce boundaries because I would go see him and my cousin nephew Ethan, his son, and be like, "Yo, when I come here, like we're not talking about this, and we actually make a point not to talk about business." And is it challenging
Yeah.
sometimes? Yeah, because I do, as everyone knows, I do also my consulting work because Mully doesn't. There's no revenue from it, and Steve has his business, his other business. So there are times when I don't talk to him for a few days. Like Mully's not this like multi-million-dollar organization. We've got 30 employees. That it's just like a handful of us, and we're all remote and decentralized, and communication is challenging. So to your point, bro, like the communication is a challenge, but because he's my family member, and because I know I'm going to see him again in a different context, it almost forces, like, it holds us accountable that we have to close the conversation and close the loop because I'm going to see you soon. It's like, you can't just leave it open ended. So I don't know if it's
Yeah.
felt like that on your end, because
A
you're going to bed
hundred
with your wife,
percent.
you're going to see your brother. You can't just like, okay, that's
Yeah.
what I don't know.
You absolutely have to make it work. And it's more than just communication and talking about work. There's like very deep rooted things when you have a business. Equity. pay, compensation, who's doing what, who's more valuable, who's bringing the money in. Is that worth more, or is it worth somebody's more? Is somebody working harder than the other person is working? So when you're really starting a company, you also everybody has this idea that the company's going to be worth $1 billion. So even when you're worth zero, like when we were starting, the amount of conversations around equity and compensation was like it got really dark and really like makes you like question the other person, and it's something that you have to work out. And a lot of times it just comes up with compromises. You just have to find a way. And 9 out
Great
of
point.
10 companies don't succeed because of founder conflict, right?
Mhm.
And I think the benefit of a family business is that hopefully you find a way to work through that conflict. And a lot of
Yeah,
people, if they're not family, you could have the flexibility at least to run, right, or to break it up. If you disagree on equity, you're like, screw you, I'm gone. Well, I can't say screw you, I'm gone to my brother or to my wife. So you have to find a middle ground.
you can. I mean, this is not going to end well for anybody.
Yeah, you can, yeah, but it's probably not advised.
Uh,
Exactly.
no, not advised. Yeah, and also to add to that, I think there's a very important lesson that I want to share with everybody out there who is thinking about this, getting into business with a friend, family member, etc., is have the courage to have the hard conversation up front. You can't. I'm telling you right now, and Andrea, you can agree, back me up, or disagree. I'm curious to get your take on this. But you can't avoid the hard conversation. You can't. It's not. You can't sweep it under the rug. You can't turn your back on it. It will be there until, and it will pop up, and it will get addressed. So you might as well do yourself a favor. If it's a conversation about compensation, equity, time, etc., whatever it is on your mind and is difficult for you to address it early, because it paves the way for a smoother takeoff in the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to come up, and you have to prepare from the beginning, because while you might not be worth something now, down the line you could be having conversations where that equity, is worth millions of dollars. You have investors coming in. You have to worry about dilution. Um, and maybe you think that it'll never happen, but it's better to be prepared. We've had numerous times where we've had venture come in, ask for board seats, ask for different types of equity. We had to discuss internally about dilution and who's worth what. I mean, at one point, there was a point where Allie was there was a capital structure where she was going to be diluted in a part of a deal, and she was not having any of it. And so that was really tough for my brother that had been slaving. He was trying to bring the money in, and at the end of the day, we had to turn the money down so we could salvage sort of our family equity stake and own complete control of the board. And so we had to make some really hard conversations. But yeah, you have to be aligned and have that hard conversations up front. And no, and sometimes it's good to have a therapist, to help, facilitate those conversations, because it can get heated.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get back to the more of the story, and then we'll wrap up soon with just kind of like the key takeaways. But when you started Robin, dude, obviously great idea, great time, and for everybody out there listening too, like, I don't know how to say this respectfully, of course, but everyone needs a little bit of luck, and I think I've done the startup thing 4 times now. This is my fourth time. I've had some success with some other ones. I've had some massive failures with other ones. And I kind of meet in the middle here, where I'm neutral and I look at the landscape of startup world, and it's like, oh my God, no matter how hard you work, no matter how great your partners are, no matter how innovative the concept is, and you execute on it, you still need a little bit of luck, a little bit of things to go your way, whether it's timing, whether it's outside influences like COVID, right? So you got that, and I really, I look at how golf has grown, and what a need you solve. Like, it's a massive need that Robin solves in this world, and I give you all the credit in the world to how hard you work and how you guys stick together as this team and continue to execute ongoing. So I definitely want to tip my cap to you there. When you look forward now, you got through a lot of the grunt work. You mentioned here, you guys are in debt. You're on the verge of closing this down. You get a break, and now you're winning. You're in PJ Superstore. You're in Dick's now. I mean, take me through, like, take all of us through like this current landscape of Robin, and where do you guys want to go now that you're a name within sport, not just golf, your name within sport?
Thank you. Yeah, the work never stops, and I feel like we're just 1% finished. Even at this point, we still have a really long way to go. There's a couple areas that we're focused on. One is we're continuing to focus on our mission, which is to be the number one destination for all beginner and casual golfers. We want to be able to come to Robin and be able to get everything that you need in order to start playing. Some areas that we're really focused on this year is to improve our content. I think we could get a little bolder with our content, make it a little bit more interesting. Um, I think we can continue to focus on our diversity and inclusion and our accessibility tent poles. And so, not only does that mean like equipment, but how are we helping drive more people to the golf course and to experiences where they can actually continue to play? We have an amazing junior product line, which has honestly been not, we haven't focused on it as much because the majority of purchasing has been coming from our adult sets that have the purchasing power. But we have an amazing opportunity with our junior clubs and to actually get kids started into the sport from age 6, all the way up into
Mm-hmm.
their teenage years, and then graduate them eventually into a Robin adult customer. And so we're thinking about more of the lifetime of our customer base. How do we get them into the fold younger, and how do we create a sticky connection with them? And so you'll start to see a lot more from Robin on our kids equipment this year.
Are are you? And I don't know the answer to this. That's why I'm asking. So this wasn't premeditated, but are you worried at all that like once they get in, Robin bridges that gap that I talked about? They're into golf. They use the clubs. They look at their friends and people, and they're like Titleist, TaylorMade, the big ones. Are you okay when they leave with just being the bridge, or do you want to somehow expand the offering to be more in like an evolution of Robin, or no? Are you going to just stick to being the bridge?
Yeah, it's a great question. And as of right now, we consider ourselves the gateway drug into the golf
Yeah,
ecosystem. There is no
yeah.
doubt the Callaways and the TaylorMades, those guys spend billions of R&D. They're continuing to break barriers in golf tech and making it better. And certainly club fitting is a billion-dollar industry as well. It's not something that we recommend to our consumers, which are just getting into the game, but there is
Right.
value there as you continue to get
Yeah.
better. So we continue to see ourselves supporting the golf industry, supporting people to graduate into club fitting or into that advanced model. I still think that there is a huge market though in this beginner casual space that we have yet to untap. I mean, in the US, there are about 30 million golfers that
Yeah.
consider themselves that play at least a couple times a year. The avid golfer who is playing more than once a month, which is targeted by Titleist, Callaway, et cetera, that only makes up 5 to 6 million. So there's 25 million people that are playing casually, which is our market, and then there's another 15 to 20 million considered latent golfers, people that are interested in golf but haven't started for one reason or another. So we still have
Mhm.
a huge opportunity to actually go the opposite direction, which is more of the latent golfers, more of the casual golfers before we even get into sort of that advanced, avid, skilled golfer sort of ecosystem. And so one of the things that we're building right now is actually more of a cheaper set option, because the price point that we have at $800 is still steep. I'm not going to say that's inexpensive, um, but a lot of people can't afford that. But we have the infrastructure, we have the technology, we have the relationships where we can still develop really quality products and move that price down. And so you'll see that
Hmm.
coming from Robin, where you will have more options and more price points for the golfer to come in at a discount set or a more affordable set at $500. Somebody that wants something a little more premium, a little more aspirational in the $800 range. And then we just launched a 13 club set, which is our competition set. That's for a little bit of a lower handicap. And you could be a 4 or 5 handicap and play with that set. And we price that at 1200. So we're creating more options depending on the life stage of the customer.
That's interesting. I'm glad I had you on for that reference point because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening right now that may not be the exact customer for you, but like their brother, their sister, their spouse wants to get involved, their friends want to get involved. This is, I told you this when I heard about it at the PGA show in 2018. Great idea. It continues to be an amazing idea to help grow the sport, help bridge that gap, and just get people into the game. Because even my stepmom was like, I need clubs. I'm like, okay. What, do you,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do
What
with
are
that
you gonna
information?
do? Uh,
Yeah, like
right.
what do you like? My stepmom's not going to go, and I didn't say her age. She might listen to this, and you're welcome. But like, I'm no one's gonna go get fit that doesn't know golf. It's like it's just it was I can't believe it's like one of those ideas. Like, how did no one think of this before? Like, how did people just start? So case in point, great business. I'm glad you guys are killing it and in these locations, um, and just all the success that you've earned. It's so earned. It's so deserved, and I'm just happy for you. So you're not off the hook. You're not leaving yet, dude. So chill out. So because we have
All
some
right.
rapid fire questions and things I want to end with before I let you go. Um, if you're ready, are you ready?
I'm ready, but you have to send your stepmom to robingolf.com to get her set, and
I
then
already
I'll answer
have.
your.
Dude. I already
Okay. All
have,
right.
dude.
All right.
Relax. Just relax. I can't see you anymore, so just let it go. We're not stopping this. So
Okay.
I'm gonna pretend like I can see you right now as we go through the rapid fire questions. Um, do you love your wife?
Yes, more than anything in the world.
Okay. Okay, good. That was just that was I mean, that was a tee up. That was like a softball toss, and you got it. Good
Get me
job.
comfortable. Okay.
Yeah, get you comfortable. Okay, ready. So you had the bug. You got like what is so? Let's start. What does golf mean to you, man? Like what is in your soul when you take a moment to pause life? You know, you're a new father. Um, you have a great wife who supports you in this world and is your business partner. You've got your brother now who is your business partner in a golf venture. You grew up playing golf, D1 golf. When you take a moment and look at it, what does the sport mean to you right now?
Golf is my escape. It is the in my sort of day to day, the best feeling that I have is when I can get out into that golf course and I'm out there playing 18 holes. It is the most free that I feel, and it is the most confident I feel in myself as a person. I feel as a confident dad. I'm a confident husband. You know, confident employee. But being able to hit a drive 300 yards, not many people can do that, and it's a moment when I'm out there, I fully just sort of believe in myself and in this skill, and that gives me a tremendous amount of happiness.
That's a great question. A great answer. Damn, I don't even know how to follow that up. I had a whole sequence of questions that go to piggyback that, but that was amazing. When you grew up playing, was there like one club that stood out? Like when you took up the game, like I remember I played and I got a lot of hand me downs, but that first one, I had a lot of firsts, but like that ping eye twos or the irons that stood out for me. Was there like a first club that stood out for you when you started playing?
Not a first club, but I had a Sonar Tech 13-degree 3-wood that literally got me through college golf. Uh, it was so hot and it went so straight. It was essentially my driver for 4 years because you'd play all these courses that you had never seen before except for one practice round, and you're so nervous to kind of continue to compete. And I just pulled out that 3-wood every time. I never pulled out driver, which was even a strength of mine is distance. So that Sonar Tech, yeah, that baby that got me through 4 years of college competitive golf. It no longer exists, although I did see it at Metalwood Studio, right there on the rack, and so I need to get Cole to reserve it for me.
Yeah, you need to jump on that quickly.
Yeah.
Um, as golf is now a household activity, household occupation, household verb, household adjective, household noun. Um, what what do you think golf? Where does golf have a place in your family moving forward?
Hopefully in our bank account. I'm just joking.
Good answer.
Uh, Oh man, I can't wait. My daughter is 9 months. I can't wait to bring her out onto the golf course with Allie at sunset and have some drinks and be able to share the story of this company that we started, with our logo and our brand, and tell her that story about perseverance and, relationship and entrepreneurship. So that's really what excites me about golf in our family.
Bro, that's awesome. I think you absolutely smashed the rapid fire questions. I was going to go a different direction, but the first one you answered too perfectly, where I couldn't the escape and think powerful there. Golf gives, and I think the purpose why I want to start this podcast is golf gives that feeling that people don't know about. You obviously have been really well in tune to it. Took me a long time to realize that golf was informed like a therapy for me. It wasn't just a relationship for me to go use. It was something to like I listen to it. It speaks to me. It gives me not just confidence in myself, but it gives me like challenges and patience and life lessons that I apply to every single other relationship and every daily activity I have. So I know that you and I share that. I know you don't want to admit that you love it like I do, but seeing this, it's a hobby, it's an activity. You want to take your daughter out, and it's an occupation, a venture of yours. I have a feeling it's deeply ingrained into the fabric of your identity, of your being.
It is. It is. As much as I'm reluctant to admit it, I would be not much without this sport. That's for sure.
So, in conclusion, I want to wrap up. I want to first of all thank you before we do our parting words. But I thank you for sharing your story, being authentic with how you guys founded Robin Golf, the struggles, the everything you guys have been through, and just where you're at now. I know there's a lot of people that want to start something like this or want to start anything that don't know how. So a couple things. One, if they want to reach out to you or the company, how do they do that? Where can they find you? And then in parting, what kind of thanks do you have? You want to give any special shout outs to anyone in your camp, anyone listening? Um, so please take it.
Sure. Yes, for anybody that is looking to start a business, in just a general business, but also a golf business, I am happy to be a sounding board, whether it's fundraising, equity capital structures, inventory management, fulfillment, marketing. I might not be like the best, but I think I have a pretty good grasp on it at this point. So email me at andrew@robingolf.com, and I would love to set up time. Also, you can find us on Instagram at robin.golf or robingolf.com. Continue to follow us to support us. And really, for everybody that's listening to this podcast, I know you all love the sport. What I could ask of you is anytime a friend or family member asks you where they should go buy golf clubs, think of us, think of Robin Golf. That's really what we're trying to solve. And we want to be there for you and for your family members that want an easy, cool, stylish set to get out and play with everybody included. In terms of thanks, I mean, thank you, Michael, for having me on. Of course, love my brother and wife, and then right now we've got an amazing group of friends and family and investors, and then most recently the Pentland Ventures, who led our seed round. Elliot Conway and Charlie Rubin have been just like lifelines in terms of like their advice and their resources. That's the Pentland Ventures group. They're really going to help us get to the next level and continue to grow this game of golf. So special thanks to them as well.
My friend, I'm sure I'll see you in a few weeks when I'm back in LA. But would love to tee it up. Would love to continue to
Let's
catch
do
up,
it.
and would love to have you on again and have a round two of this.
All right, dude.
And thank you everybody for listening. I'll
See
talk
you
to you soon.
later. All right, bye.